Okay guys, now what we're going to look at is how to create a wonderful sunset for our elephant in the sunset piece of art. Look at those vibrant, beautiful colors. Okay, so to show you this demonstration, you will need watercolor paper or mixed media paper. You don't want to use this technique on regular drawing paper because it will rip the paper or it'll buckle. So if you have watercolor paper, great. If not, let your teacher know and we'll come up with an alternative. So a trick is you want to double tape or put some masking tape on the back of your watercolor paper and lay it on a flat surface. If you don't have tape, that's okay. It just sometimes the watercolor paper may bend, but once it dries you can flatten it out. So I want you to look again at the picture here. So our goal is to create a sunset and a seascape here. So in the center you have what's called a horizon line. Horizon line is where the ground line is. So in this picture it's where the sun set or the sky meets the ground, in this case the water. So you can do that with a crayon or an oil pastel, even Sharpie, but I'm going to show you a cool technique. Basically all you want to do here is, before you start painting anything, decide how much ground and how much sky. In this version I see it's kind of in the middle, but say you want a little bit of ocean and a lot of sky. It just depends where you want your horizon line. If you want a lot of sky and a lot of ocean and a little bit of sky, you'd put your horizon line up a lot higher. I'm going to do mine in the center. Why not? I'm using a blue oil pastel. You can use crayon, like I said, but in this effect here, I've put some other curved lines inside to create kind of reflection of the light that sometimes happens in sunsets or sky. Now our sun is setting here, but I'm just going to keep it simple. Okay, so you can put some just sideways curved lines, leaving some white space. You don't want to color all of this in. You could use white as well. And you're leaving a lot of white space. You're just putting in a few colors to create a little bit of depth in your water. If you don't want to do this step, that's okay. See all this white space in there? I'm going to watercolor that later. This horizon line helps for the watercolor not to drip into your ocean when you go to paint, okay? So that's why a crayon or oil pastel will be helpful. And let's say you want it to be sunset and you want a sun in your on your horizon line or in your picture. You can put that. Maybe you want a sun in the sky still somewhere. You could just use an oil pastel and color that before you do watercolor. Maybe you want the sun setting like you saw in our sample photo, but I want you to think of something first. Notice that who's in the way of the sky? Mr. Elephant's in the way. So we don't want to put our sun where once we cut him out and glue him on, that he's going to be in the way of our sun. So think about it over on this side, where if you want a sun anywhere, it would have to be on the left-hand side of your paper for it to show. Okay, so just to kind of play around, I'm going to do a curved line for my sun because it's setting here. And one thing that you can do also is to put a few bits of yellow coming diagonally out from the sun hitting the water. I'm sure if you've been to the beach and see the sunset, that happens a little bit. Okay, I'm going too far. I'm going a little crazy. I'll slow down now. Let's get to our sky. We're going to start with our sky, and here I have watercolor. Now, if you don't have watercolor, ask your teacher for some advice on other things you can use, such as even Crayola markers. So before we start painting, we have to wet our pans. Those are the little circles, and you want to just wake them up with a little bit of water. Watercolor works with, guess what? Water. So when you add water, it wakes up the watercolor. Do clean your brush in between. I'm just putting a little bit. Don't drown your palette, okay? All right, so I'm going to use warm colors and a little bit of cool colors in my sky. I'm also gonna do some color mixing. Let's hop to it, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start at the top and I'm gonna use some blue. Now when I'm getting my color, I'm going to pet my brush back and forth. The more you pet this, the stronger the color, okay? If you have a round brush, you would roll your brush like a piggy in the mud. Here I'm just giving it a pet, but I'm doing it at least 5 or 6 times, maybe more. I like to use flat brushes because you'll see, boom, look how easy that is. Okay, so if you're doing a sunset, nice rich color. I'm gonna wash my brush and make sure you have a paper towel to dry off your brush. Just kind of pinch it, okay? I'm gonna move on to magenta next. And again, give it a good amount of pets on both sides of your brush. This time though, when I paint, I'm gonna skip a line. I'm gonna leave a little bit of white. I'm gonna pull across till I'm happy with the amount of magenta. Okay, now I'm gonna bring some more magenta, put it on my brush, and that white line I'm gonna cover. Sorry, let me get magenta, and bring it into the blue. When you mix it, it will make purple. I added purple by accident there. But when you bring the magenta into the blue, it's going to make purple. So it'll be a subtle kind of streak, a gradation is what we call it. Okay. I'm gonna move on to a little bit of red. Okay, I'm gonna do a little color blending again. Now I've washed and dried my brush. I'm gonna get some yellow. More times than not, when the sun's setting, there's the light is closer to the horizon line. Now check out what I did. I went right over that sun because oil and water don't mix. So once I put that on there, the sun on there, I can paint right over it. The same will happen with crayon, okay? So here's my yellow. I'm gonna go back to my yellow. And just like I did with the blue and magenta, I'm gonna put some yellow and bring it just at the bottom half of my red. And when I blend it back and forth, you'll see another color come up. What do you see there? Orange. Orange came on the scene. Okay, look how sweet. If you want to put any more orange towards the bottom, why not? Okay. So, because our horizon line is there and we have not wet this bottom part, it will not blend all together and make one big mess. So we're gonna work on our sea now, our water. You could use one color, you don't have to go crazy like I am, okay? But I'm gonna get paint on my brush. I'm using some blue. I'm gonna start at the bottom just to give our sky a little time to dry up here, just in case. Now you could do stripes of color or you can just paint the whole thing one color. This is where you get to use your creativity and what you want. So I'm using a kind of it's called cyan blue. It's one of my favorite colors. Most people love this color because it's gorgeous. It's great for water. And once this dries, the oil pastel that we put down first is gonna pop out and look almost neon. Okay. I'm gonna add a little purple in here, or you can do the magenta thing. Just a little bit. Okay. Okay. We could go all night, but I'm going to stop here. Thank you for your time and watching the video. So let's go ahead and create our beautiful sky.